Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers signing citations, Miranda rights, and obstruction, and is brought to us by Police Activities and Michael Zamersky's channels. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. This will be another double feature episode, so be sure to stick around and check out our coverage of both of today's interactions. On August 8th, 2022, Officer Brooks of the Atlanta Police Department was patrolling Shady Valley Park in northeast Atlanta at 11:50 p.m. when he encountered Angel Geis and an unnamed male in the park after hours. Law enforcement had recently increased patrols after homicides at two other city parks, so the officer decided to make contact with the individuals. The video that follows was captured by the officer body cameras and released by the Atlanta Police Department.
1220 radio 72 stop at 2700 Shady Valley Drive on a blue Kia Forte, Ohio tag, John Edward Henry 7969, black male, black shirt, black female, black shirt. What's going on? How y'all doing?
Hello.
Alright, well I see the Ohio tag, I'm not sure if y'all from here or not, but you can't be inside the park in the city of Atlanta between the hours 11 p.m. 6 a.m.
Okay.
You got your IDs on you? You have your IDs on you?
Yes.
I'm gonna need them. You have your ID now? Alright, just stand by, I'll be right back with you. All right, sir, like I explained to you, you can't be in the park at night. You're just going to receive a simple ticket stating that you was in the park after hours. All right, I need you to sign right on that.
Where am I signing over? Is it a charge or anything? Or
It's just a ticket.
And I have to sign it?
You can not sign it and go to jail. It's this one here. This one here, yes, sir. Alright, that's your license. Copy of citation. You have any questions?
That's what it is.
Right. Come over here for me, ma'am. Can you come here, ma'am? Alright, so you're going to receive a ticket for being in the park after hours. Alright? Just need to sign right here on the X.
But because we're out of, didn't you say we were out of time so we wouldn't have known that?
Yeah, but that's not a valid reason why you should be in the park because you're from out of town.
And what's your badge number?
7452.
And what's your name?
Officer Brooks.
What's your first name?
I'm not going to give you my first name.
Okay, and I don't have to sign this, right?
You do have to sign it.
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, like I explained to him, if you don't sign it, then you're going to be physically taken to jail.
Gotcha.
So you refusing to sign?
What's your name?
Officer Brooks, 7452.
What's the badge number?
I gave it to you 2 times, man.
Okay, I'm asking again.
And I'm not giving it to you again.
Okay.
Are you going to sign it?
No, because I want your badge
Okay,
number.
that's fine. You want to put your hands behind your back for me?
No, she got.
Hey, listen, my man. She says she's not signing it. Put your hands behind your back.
Sir,
Ma'am?
you're hurting me.
Okay. I'm asking you to put your hands behind your back.
Sir?
Put your hands behind your back. 12, start me, man.
Ms. Geis states that she will not sign the citation until Officer Brooks gives her his badge number again, and Officer Brooks begins to place her under arrest. Section 110-60 of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances prohibits citizens from being in any park between the hours of 11 p.m. and 6 a.m., and even though Ms. Geis and her companion seem to be unaware of this restriction, as we have discussed before here on ATA, courts have consistently held that ignorance of the law is not a defense for breaking it. As such, it is almost certain certain that a court would conclude that Officer Brooks had probable cause to believe Ms. Geis was in violation of the city ordinance. Although Atlanta officers may arrest individuals for violations of city ordinances, according to the department's Standard Operating Procedure 3030, quote, the arresting officer may issue a copy of charges to appear in court in lieu of a physical arrest based on the following. The identity of the arrestee has been determined. There is no reason to believe the arrestee poses a continued threat to the community or self, and there is no reason to believe that the arrestee shall fail to appear in court based on the arrestee's place of residence, ties to the community, employment, mental condition, and personal history. In situations like this, where an officer issues a ticket in lieu of arrest, signing the citation does not constitute an admission of guilt. Rather, it serves as an acknowledgement of the charge and an agreement to either pay the fine or appear in court. When individuals refuse to sign a citation, it can give officers cause to believe that they will not appear in court or pay the fine, and they can generally then be arrested in order to require them to post bond. As such, it is certainly possible that a court would conclude that Ms. Geis's refusal to sign the citation gave Officer Brooks reasonable cause to believe that she would fail to appear in court, although it should be noted that Ms. Geis's refusal was conditional, and it is entirely possible that she would have signed the citation once Officer Brooks provided his badge number.
Sir.
Ma'am, put your hand behind your back.
Come on.
I need you to back up.
I'm just saying, like,
I need you to back up.
You don't need to touch her like that.
She's not putting her hands behind her back.
I'm asking a question. All I'm doing is
Put your
asking
hands behind your back. Put your hands behind
Mr.
your
Brooks.
You're under arrest. Put your hands behind your back. I asked you to sign the ticket. You told me you're not signing it.
Sir,
Put your hands behind your back.
I'm asking you a question.
Okay? I'm letting you know. I'm not going to ask you again. I'm going to forcibly put your hands behind your back.
But, sir, Mr. Brooks, is this really necessary? Mr. Brooks.
Hold on.
Hey, listen, my
She
man.
needs
Back
to
up.
she needs to put her. Let her
Can I-
put her phone.
Okay, you can put your phone down.
Okay, Mr. Brooks.
Come
Oh
on,
my
sir.
God.
Hold on.
Put your hands behind your back.
I'm not saying that I'm refusing to sign the ticket. I'm going to sign the ticket.
You don't have an option now.
I'm going to sign the ticket.
No, I'm not here to play games with you.
I know, but I'm going to sign.
Put your hands behind your back.
Mr. Brooks, I'm going to sign
Put
the
your hands
ticket.
behind your
Sir,
back.
you don't have to. You don't have
You're
to.
resisting.
You do not have
I'm
to.
asking you, why am I putting my hands behind my back?
You're under arrest.
I'm going to sign the ticket, but why am I under arrest? Why
Sir,
am
she's
I
about
under
to sign
arrest?
the ticket.
I'm going to sign the
She's
ticket.
about to sign the ticket.
I'm
That's all
going
you
to sign
wanted
the
to do
ticket,
is sign
Mr.
the
Brooks.
ticket. That's all it is.
I'm going to sign the ticket.
I asked you to sign the ticket. You told me you're not signing
I'm
it.
going to sign the
about to
ticket
sign the
now.
ticket
Mr.
now.
Brooks, I'm going
You
to
don't
sign
have
the
that
ticket.
option now.
Why don't I have the option,
I
Mr.
gave you
Brooks?
two options.
She was just asking for your
Mr.
badge
Brooks,
number
I'm
at
asking
first.
for your badge number, and I wasn't clear on why you weren't giving me your badge
Sir, you
number.
don't have. Sir, you do not have to hold her like that.
Oh my God!
Sir, you do not have to drag her like
Mr.
that.
Brooks, I'm telling you that I'm going.
Sir.
I'm going to sign
Sir,
the
Put
you
your
ticket.
do
hands
not have to
behind
grab
your
her
back.
like that.
I'm going to sign the ticket, Mr. Brooks. I'm going to sign the ticket. Why am I being arrested? Can you please tell me why I'm being arrested? Oh my God! I'm so scared. My God, please, in the name of Jesus, please, God, in the name. Why am I being arrested, Mr. Brooks? I'm going to sign the ticket. Mr. Brooks, why am I being arrested? Why am I being arrested?
Turn around and put your hands behind your
Tell me
back.
why I'm being arrested. I have the right. I have the right to know. Oh my God.
Put your hands behind your back.
Oh my
Stop resisting.
God.
Do not
Stop
tase her.
resisting.
What are you tasing her for?
I didn't tase it.
Why are you pulling it out?
Put your hands behind your back.
Come on, sir. This is unnecessary. What are you doing? This is over this whole park.
Put your hands behind your back.
I don't understand why I'm being arrested. That's why I'm not putting my hands behind my back. You have not given me a reason. So why am I getting? I'm not. You didn't have to tell me my rights. You told me why I'm being arrested. That's exactly why I'm not putting my hands behind my back. God,
Sir, you have not read her Miranda rights and none of that.
please, sir, you have not told me why I'm being arrested. That's why I have not put my hands behind my back. You have not told me that. You have not read me my rights or anything. And you're steady doing this to me. I don't understand.
Ms. Geis states that she's not putting her hands behind her back because Officer Brooks has not told her why she is being arrested or read her rights. As we have discussed before here on ATA, the Constitution does not require officers to explicitly state why they are arresting someone. And here, Officer Brooks had explained to Ms. Geis multiple times that she was being arrested because she refused to sign the citation. As for whether Officer Brooks was required to read Ms. Geis her Miranda rights before completing the arrest, officers are only legally obligated to advise individuals of their Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination and their Sixth Amendment right to counsel before they are subjected to custodial interrogation. Although it is a common misconception that Miranda rights must be quote-unquote read before or during an arrest, as the Supreme Court explained in the 1995 case of Thompson versus Cohane, quote, Miranda warnings are due only when a suspect interrogated by the police is in custody. Accordingly, police officers are not obligated to quote-unquote read rights before conducting arrests, and a court would likely conclude that Ms. Geis was still required to comply with the arrest despite the fact that Officer Brooks had not yet advised her of her Miranda rights.
Can you please just tell me why I'm being arrested? That's all I'm asking.
I just told you.
Why?
You refused to sign the ticket.
I did not. I told you I was going to sign the ticket, Mr. Brooks.
Put your hands behind your back.
I don't understand.
Put your hands behind your back,
I'm
man.
telling you, I'm going to sign the ticket, Mr. Brooks. I will sign the ticket, please.
Now, put your hands behind your back.
Why you? I don't understand.
Put your hands behind your
How
back.
you handling me?
Put your hands behind your back.
I told you I'm not putting my hands. You have not told me or read me my rights. You have not done any of that. You're not telling me why I'm going to jail.
Sir, this is unnecessary.
God.
Put your hands behind your back.
Please, God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
That was unnecessary.
You can record from over here.
Oh my God.
What's your name, Officer Brooks? What's your name, sir? Officer Taylor.
Ouch.
This is where y'all taking her?
Oh my
Back
God.
up. What do you mean back up? This is my friend. Y'all don't know her. Back, how does it? She's hurting right now. She's crying. What do you mean take care of her? We was just here for a party. Now she's out under arrest.
Oh my God. Ouch. Oh my God.
Go ahead and search her before I put it in. All right, man. Stand up. Stand up. Turn around. Put your feet inside.
Oh my God. Can I have my phone?
Another officer arrives on the scene, and with his assistance, Officer Brooks is able to forcibly handcuff Ms. Geis and place her in the police cruiser. As the Supreme Court explained in the 1989 case of Graham versus Connor, quote, Fourth Amendment jurisprudence has long recognized that the right to make an arrest or investigatory stop necessarily carries with it the right to use some degree of physical coercion or threat thereof to effect it. As such, it is only so-called unreasonable uses of force that are considered to be constitutionally, quote-unquote, excessive. The Graham decision went on to state that, quote, because the test of reasonableness under the Fourth Amendment is not capable of precise definition or mechanical application, its proper application requires careful attention to the facts and circumstances of each particular case, including the severity of the crime at issue, whether the suspect poses an immediate threat to the safety of the officers or others, and whether he is actively resisting arrest or attempting to evade arrest by flight. In the 2021 case of Charles versus Johnson, the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, which has jurisdiction over Georgia, concluded that an officer's actions in tackling a suspect to the ground was not excessive in light of the Graham factors when the suspect had ignored multiple commands from the officer, had gone, quote, nearly a minute without complying, and had thwarted multiple attempts to handcuff by maneuvering his body and arms away from the officer. Well, given the similarities to Miss Geis's resistance here, it therefore seems likely that a court would conclude that the officers did not use constitutionally excessive force in arresting Ms. Geis.
You want to tow this car or let you drive? Nah, that's just okay.
This was nothing, but we were just at the park. I know, all we were about to do was leave. That's what we was about to do. She was asking why did she have to sign a ticket? And then that's how, and it escalated from there.
Yeah, I'm good.
Well, that's why she was like, she was explaining, like, she wanted an explanation of why was that the case.
She said, I'm not signing. Then when I took the Helen Council,
she said that at first until you said you're going to jail. She didn't know what that was the consequence of not signing the ticket.
Oh, so me saying she's not going to jail wasn't enough?
She was asking why do I have to sign a ticket? You said it was just like, oh, you going to jail if you don't sign it. That's not a good explanation of why you need to sign a ticket.
I mean, but
that's just saying that's the consequence. That's not the same. All you had to say was like we were just about to leave. We were leaving. You were coming to tell us the park's closed. Y'all got to get out. That's it. And then now you had to just drag her on the floor and hurt her over the park. This ain't even. You got like 6, 7 cops over a park. We were here before it got after dark. I didn't know that. I didn't know the time of the park closed. That's why he came over here and told us when the park closed. If you see my tag, you see I'm not from here.
I think it was. I'm not signing it. It was Mason, and then y'all, the attorney, y'all lost me.
If you don't sign it, you're going to jail. Are you signing it? No. Then when I take the handcuffs off, oh no, I'm gonna sign it. Nah, I don't worry like that.
It wouldn't even go. I think it was obstruction.
Yeah, I'll throw that on there.
Nikki has my phone. Can I please have my phone, sir? Please.
You're in custody.
Can you give Mr. Nick my phone, please?
Yeah, I can give him your phone.
Can you please give him my phone?
That's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah. After I was giving him a copy of charges. So I did take it to the ground, but it wasn't like a use of force at the ground. It was just like a leg sweep.
Hey, bro, do me a favor.
Go ahead and back
real
up.
quick, man. We still talking real quick, my man. I'll be over there with you in a second, bro.
So, like I said, I did a leg sweep. That was it. No punches, nothing like that.
She's still resisting, though.
Still, she won't give me all the
Okay.
Sit back, man, so put your seatbelt on. I'm taking you to the hospital now. One black female in custody, Sherman Road, Grady detention, start models 33431.
Sir, I'm hurting really bad. Please, can we go to the hospital?
We're en route to the hospital now.
Ms. Geis was charged with obstruction in addition to the original infraction for being in the park after hours. On November 2nd, 2022, the charges were dismissed after Ms. Geis completed a so-called restorative justice diversion program in lieu of conviction. Following the incident, the cell phone footage of Ms. Geis's arrest began to circulate on social media, sparking some outrage in the community. The Atlanta PD responded by releasing the body camera footage from the encounter and a statement supporting the officer's conduct, stating that, quote, several unnecessary decisions that were entirely out of our control resulted in a physical altercation with an officer and the physical arrest of this individual. The encounter also prompted Ms. Geis to obtain a civil rights attorney to pursue an excessive force lawsuit against the Atlanta Police Department. However, as of the date of this episode, it is unknown whether Ms. Geis has initiated a suit. Overall, Officer Brooks gets a C, because although he was likely within his legal authority throughout the encounter and maintained a relatively professional demeanor, he missed multiple opportunities to de-escalate the situation and avoid arresting Ms. Geis. First, because Ms. Geis and her companion did not appear to know that they were violating the law, Officer Brooks could have simply given a warning and asked them to leave, as the stated purpose of the Atlanta PD's additional park patrols was to prevent homicides and not issue citations to peaceful citizens in the park after hours. Additionally, although Officer Brooks did explain to Ms. Geis that she would be arrested if she did not sign the citation, he did not explain the reasoning behind this, or that signing the citation was not an admission of guilt. He also could have provided his badge number to Ms. Geis again so she could make a record of it, as it seems she did not manage to get it typed in her phone the first 2 times he provided it, or he could have allowed her to sign the citation once she agreed to do so. This encounter demonstrates how the decisions officers make can radically alter the course of a police-citizen interaction, and I believe that if Officer Brooks had exercised a bit more understanding and patience, Ms. Geis's arrest could have been avoided altogether. Ms. Geis gets a C- for demonstrating a fundamental misunderstanding of several legal concepts, repeatedly resisting arrest, and demanding to be told multiple times why she was being arrested after Officer Brooks had explained it to her. From the beginning of this encounter, Ms. Geis was inarguably in violation of the city ordinance prohibiting citizens from being in the park after hours, and as such, she was constitutionally subject to arrest by the officer. Accordingly, it is highly likely that she committed obstruction under Georgia law by physically resisting Officer Brooks's attempts to handcuff her. While I understand that she wanted Officer Brooks's badge number and believe that he should have provided it to her, citizens are almost always best served by complying with arrests and challenging their validity after the fact. Here, Ms. Geis accrued an additional charge based on her resistance, and although this charge was ultimately dismissed as part of a diversion program, that does not mean that she would not have been found guilty if the case was prosecuted. Let's move on to the second encounter. On December 6th, 2022, Michael Zamerski was outside his North Tonawanda, New York home when Officer Kevin Mang of the North Tonawanda Police Department, who was later joined by Officer Brian Warren, approached and began to question him. Mr. Zamerski started to film the encounter.
Questions, huh? Oh, that scares me. That's real scary.
Okay.
So you're not gonna tell me what you're doing out here? You just had 2 stolen cars in the last half hour. And you're just out in the middle of the night.
What's it got to do with me?
Just ask what you're doing out here in the middle of the night. That's what I'm asking.
Ask away.
I'm asking why you're out here.
I don't answer questions.
You don't answer questions?
No.
No? Why not?
What did I just say?
Where do you live?
We're going to invoke my Fifth Amendment right now. And I'm telling you, I'm not going to answer any of your questions. I'm not going to help with your investigation, whatever you got going on. 0. So.
You're a real nice, real tough guy.
I'm not trying to be tough, man. I'm just invoking my rights. That's all. I have rights. I don't have to be questioned. I'm not going to sit here and be questioned, man.
160.
Like, for what? For what?
Front of 20 Highland. I'll be able to switch this now. Why do you gotta be a jerk?
I'm not being a jerk.
You are
I'm
being
just
a jerk.
sitting here with my bike. I was about to take my dog for a walk.
You were down there when I saw you.
Okay.
So you were there. Also, I saw you take off like hell. That's why I flew down here.
I'm just riding my bike around, man.
He's being a tough guy. You don't have to answer anything. You can answer any questions.
What's going on, man?
There's nothing going on, man.
You stopped for a ride?
What the man? Like, I was about to take my dog for a walk on my bike, okay?
Well,
and you showed up and started being a tough guy to me.
You are.
For what? For what? For what, man?
I just told you we had 2 stolen cars the last half hour.
I live in this neighborhood.
And
I live in this neighborhood. I
I'm just
pay
asking you a
taxes in this
question.
neighborhood.
You said I ain't answered nothing. You started being a...
Yeah, because I don't have to, man. I don't have to. I don't have to answer any of your questions. Nope. Go in the house. Really?
I just asked you a question and you're being a jerk. Okay?
You obviously I live here, okay? I'm just riding my bike out in front of my house and you pull up and you're like, what the you doing, man?
I didn't say that, okay? I did not
You
say
basically, yeah, you did. Go in the house. I didn't do and you know I didn't do so go find some real criminals, man. I'm riding my bike in front of my house.
What's your...
Shut your mouth, all right?
Yeah.
Sure.
See, is that how you treat all citizens?
Listen to you.
Is that how you
all you've been
treat
doing is
all?
swearing
Is that
at me.
how?
All you've been doing is swearing at me.
I ain't swearing at you.
It's on tape, okay?
Sure it is. Yeah, absolutely.
Mikey,
Yeah, absolutely.
Mikey, what's your last name?
No.
You've been swearing this entire
No.
time? Do you wanna be
Don't
arrested
give me
for
that.
this guy?
Don't.
Do you want to be
No.
arrested?
There's no. Oh, you're gonna
You got
arrest
2
me for
options.
what? A second.
You got 2 options. You give me your last name, and we have a conversation like adults, as I'm talking to
Listen,
you
man.
like an
I want to
adult.
be cordial as with you.
So-
Yeah, I
and
understand.
don't-
You're the reasonable
listen.
guy right now. This guy is
Listen,
obviously unreasonable.
Mikey, listen to me. All I want is your last name. At this point, I don't
For
want to.
what?
Because, as Officer Mang explained to you, in the past hour, we've had 2 vehicles stolen.
Okay.
Which is why he stopped to talk with you. Okay. Now I've drove up. I've listened to you curse, swear, scream enough that people around are coming outside.
Officer Warren claims that Mr. Zamerski has been cursing, swearing, and screaming loud enough that other citizens are coming outside. Section 240.20 of the New York Penal Law states that, quote, a person is guilty of disorderly conduct when, with intent to cause public inconvenience, annoyance, or alarm, or recklessly creating a risk thereof, he engages in fighting or in violent, tumultuous, or threatening behavior, or he makes unreasonable noise, or in a public place he uses abusive or obscene language, or makes an obscene gesture. The statute also prohibits several other courses of conduct that clearly do not apply to Mr. Zamerski's behavior. And while there are strong arguments that Mr. Zamerski's behavior did not rise to the level of violent, tumultuous, or threatening behavior, unreasonable noise, or abusive or obscene language, which only applies to so-called fighting words, or words that would evoke a breach of the peace, another problematic element of any potential disorderly conduct charge against Mr. Zamerski is the requirement that he intended to cause cause public inconvenience, annoyance, or alarm, or recklessly create a risk thereof. As the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of New York explained in the 2011 case of Potenza versus Gonzalez, quote, "The disorderly conduct statute does not circumscribe pure speech directed at an individual. Rather, it is directed at words and utterances coupled with an intent to create a risk of public disorder, which the state has the authority and responsibility to prohibit, prevent, and punish. The clear aim was to reserve the disorderly conduct statute for situations that carried beyond the concern of individual disputants to a point where they had become a potential or immediate public problem. Here, Mr. Zamersky's speech was clearly directed at the officers, and although they alleged it was loud enough that quote-unquote people were coming outside, only the woman in his house came out, and it is unclear if she overheard the conversation or simply looked out the window and saw that something was going on. As there did not seem to be a risk of public disorder created by Mr. Zamersky's conduct, it is unlikely that a court would conclude that he could be convicted of disorderly conduct."
Well, this never would happen if you guys wouldn't have showed up and started with me, dude. This guy's over here yelling at me like, why don't you just ask me what I'm doing? I'm about to take my dog for a walk. I was about to take my dog for a walk. Okay, and then this guy pulls up on me and starts like asking me what's going, like, no, dude, I haven't robbed any house. Obviously, I live here, so hasn't that dispelled your suspicions?
It's a simple conversation, and all we do is we stop and talk with you.
Okay, all right.
That's all we do.
All right, well, I'm not going to give you my name, okay? I'm not going to give you any information. If you're conducting an investigation,
that's fine.
I have no obligation to help you with that investigation.
That's fine, you're right.
And if you got the guy with some stripes on his shoulders, can you get him down here?
When you're suspected of committing a violation or a crime, okay, and you don't provide name, you are arrested for obstruction. So
no, that's not how it works. That's not how it works.
It is how it works.
Officer Warren argues that when individuals refuse to identify themselves when they are suspected of a crime, they can be arrested for obstruction. According to Section 195.05 of the New York Penal Law, quote, "A person is guilty of obstructing governmental administration when such person intentionally obstructs, impairs, or perverts the administration of law or other governmental function, or prevents or attempts to prevent a public servant from performing any official function by means of intimidation, physical force, or interference, or by means of any independently unlawful act." Now, because refusing to identify clearly does not constitute intimidation or physical force or interference in order for it to be considered obstruction, it would need to be an independently unlawful act. Section 140.50 of the New York Criminal Procedure Law does state that, quote, "A police officer may stop a person in a public place located within the geographical area of such officer's employment when he reasonably suspects that such person is committing, has committed, or is about to commit either a felony or a misdemeanor defined in the penal law, and may demand of him his name, address, and an explanation of his conduct." However, as the New York City Court of Gloversville, Fulton County explained in the 2018 case of People v. Darby, while the statute, quote, "specifically authorizes police to stop and question a suspect, the law does not impose a reciprocal duty upon that individual to answer. The right to remain silent under questioning is one of the most fundamental rights bestowed upon our citizens, and it is well settled that while police have the right to ask questions, they may not compel an individual to answer. To that extent, the mere refusal to identify oneself to police or respond to questioning is not a criminal act, nor does it establish probable cause to make an arrest. Additionally, even if a court were to determine that individuals could be charged with obstruction for refusing to identify, both Section 140.50 and the Fourth Amendment only authorize officers to detain and identify individuals when they have reasonable suspicion to believe that they are involved in criminal activity. In this situation, the only justification the officers state for their suspicion of Mr. Zamersky is that he is near an area where 2 vehicles had just been stolen. Now, although an individual's physical and temporal proximity to a crime scene or a high crime area is a factor that courts may consider when determining whether an officer had reasonable suspicion, on its own, it's typically not enough to create reasonable suspicion to detain and identify. For instance, in the 2016 case of Dancy versus McGinley, the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, which has jurisdiction over New York, held that an officer did not have reasonable suspicion to detain 2 individuals when they were found walking within several city blocks of a crime scene, and one of them matched a vague description of suspects. In reaching this conclusion, the court noted that their proximity to the crime scene was, quote, "innocuous, given the unremarkable nature of the area in question." Here, the officers did not even claim that Mr. Zamersky matched a description of a suspect suspect. And given the fact that he was in a residential neighborhood, it seems improbable that a court would conclude his presence in the area with his bicycle was anything but quote-unquote innocuous. Therefore, absent any additional facts that the officers may have been aware of but did not share, it is unlikely that a court would conclude that the officers had the reasonable suspicion necessary to detain and identify Mr. Zamersky.
It's
really not.
Okay. All right. Do you think I'm playing games with you? All I want
you want, okay, you want to slap me handcuffs and damn it? All right. I haven't done anything wrong.
Like, all I want you
I'm riding my bike. I'm riding my bike.
I'm sick here.
No.
Can you just be?
Can you tell me his last name so we can be done
No,
with this?
just don't do it. Don't do it.
He's being arrested for discount for screaming and swearing enough for people to start looking out.
Can you just show the house and I'll give you all the information you need?
Nope.
That's not a lawful charge. That's not a lawful charge, man.
That's your opinion.
Yep.
Yes.
Step off the bike, please.
Riding my bike
For disorderly conduct. People are looking out their windows and causing issues
take it.
because you're yelling and screaming and swearing.
Is that
We live right here.
Yes, sir.
I know, I just want to make sure this isn't part of anything here. So.
Oh, so he literally just got home.
After his arrest, Mr. Zamersky was charged with obstructing and disorderly conduct. However, both charges were later dismissed. In a follow-up video that Mr. Zamersky posted on his channel, he alleged that 5 days after his arrest, he left his workplace around midnight to find North Tonawanda officers running his plates. According to Mr. Zamersky, the officers handcuffed him and put him in the back of a cruiser on apparent suspicion of burglary, and did not release him until the owner of the company came to the scene and confirmed that Mr. Zamersky was, in fact, permitted to be in the building. On February 18, 2024, Mr. Zamersky filed a civil rights lawsuit in state court, but the case was removed to federal court, where, as of the date of writing this episode, it is still pending. Additionally, as alleged by Mr. Zamersky in his lawsuit, he filed a formal grievance against Officer Mang and Officer Warren, but the North Tonawanda PD claimed that they did not receive any written complaints. Overall, Officer Mang and Officer Warren get an F for maintaining aggressive and unprofessional demeanors throughout the encounter, demanding that Mr. Zamersky identify himself when he was likely not required to do so, and potentially arresting Mr. Zamersky without any probable cause to do so. It is also important to note that it is likely that a court would conclude that the officers did not have the reasonable suspicion necessary to detain and identify Mr. Zamersky in the first place. Although the officers were investigating a crime, this did not give them the authority to detain and identify any citizen who happened to be in the area. And while it may have been arguably helpful to the officers' investigation if Mr. Zamersky identified himself, absent any individualized suspicion that he was involved in the crime, the officers did not have the authority to demand that he do so. This is a common police mistake we see on this channel, and it is essential that law enforcement officers understand that not every act of non-cooperation by a citizen is an arrestable offense. Mr. Zamersky gets an A-, because although he did raise his voice and use profanity, I strongly believe that his speech was protected by the First Amendment, and he asserted his right to refuse to identify himself when he was not required to do so, and pursued appropriate legal action after his arrest. Mr. Zamersky should also be commended for submitting to the arrest and challenging its validity after the fact, filing a complaint against Officer Mang and Officer Warren, and sharing his experience with the public on his YouTube channel. I wish Mr. Zamersky the best in his lawsuit, and hope that his advocacy will not only result in success in the courtroom, but also changes in the North Tonawanda Police Department. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic that you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out my second channel for even more police interaction content.